I would like to introduce you to a new phase in neuroscience research in China. And in this new phase, we welcome all scholars from assistant to senior faculty members, from students to postdocs, to join us at the Chinese Institute for Brain Research in Beijing. Now, in neuroscience, most of us agree with Francis Crick about what is important. Now, in China, over the last century or so, we have some prominent neuroscientists who's done very interesting and brilliant neuroscience research. For example, Robert K.S. Lim, the first neurophysiologist of fame in China was Robert K.S. Lim. His early work was on gastrointestinal physiology, but his later work was on neuroscience, neurophysiology. He carried out a cross-perfusion experiment to distinguish between the analgesic effects of morphine and aspirin. Through this experiment, he established morphine works on the CNS, while aspirin works in the periphery. And that's a classic experiment to establish the roles of especially aspirin, although his contribution on morphine was also noticeable. The second founding neuroscientist in China I would like to mention is Qiao Cai. The name may sound very unfamiliar to anyone alive today, but for neuroscientists, the term ventral tegmental area, or VTA, is quite well known. And that was in fact discovered by Qiao Cai in 1924 when he was a graduate student at the University of Chicago. He returned to China and trained many neurophysiologists that we know today. The third neuroscientist is a pharmacologist, K.K. Chen. K.K. Chen discovered ephedrine from Chinese herb medicine, and this now is a component of many medicines that's in use today. And he's done other work, but ephedrine is the most famous that he's discovered. T.P. Fen is a neurophysiologist. While he was working in Beijing in the 1930s, he was focused on the neuromuscular junction, doing some of the research that parallels that of Bernard Katz, who was working in Australia and Britain at that time. And some of their work are very similar, although Katz went a bit further, and that's why he got the Nobel Prize. But they have mutual respect for each other while, in a way, competing on the same system. A student has made a movie about papers that China have published in Nature, Science, and Cell. And you can see early on China was not among top 10 of nations that publish in Cell, Nature, and Science. But after a while, by this century, the rank of China keeps moving upwards. And by now, China is among top 4 of publishing in Nature and Science and Cell, after the US, Britain, and Germany. Now, this is a rough estimate of good work in biomedical science, although it's not an absolute one, as we know. If we look at the total papers published by different nations in the biomedical science, what you can see is that early on, China was not a major factor. As the time goes, what you can see is that by the year 2017, China have exceeded the US in total publications in the biomedical sciences. And now China leads all the nations in biomedical papers. In neuroscience, the statistics also looks interesting. Again, early on, China was not top 10, but if we go, as time goes, with Chinese investment and more and more students trained in neuroscience, you can see that China is now number 2 in terms of total publication in neuroscience after the United States. What we at the Chinese Institute for Brain Research hopes is that we are not going to contribute to the total productivity of neuroscience research. What we hope to do is to do the best neuroscientist research. And by that, we believe we want to give freedom to all the investigators we hire and have our investigators leading and inspiring their students and spend their time and efforts not on trying to get funding or worry about their salary, but to focus on their research. We have been obtaining sufficient support from the Chinese government so that we can be confident that investigators and their labs, if they come to CIBR, that they will be able to use the best equipment, they will be able to collaborate with some of the best hospitals in China. And eventually, our plan for CIBR is to have about 50 labs. And we have 11 core facilities to help the labs to provide technical platforms. And roughly, we'll have about 1,200 investigators at all levels combined. So what we believe is that while we have a modest beginning, we do have great inspirations of trying to do the best. Now we have the best support. What we hope is for investigators and scientists who are interested in neuroscience, join us at CIBR and do the best you can for your own career and for improving the health of human brains. We are not focused on increasing the general productivity of neuroscience research in China. We are very interested in improving the quality of neuroscience research. We hope that we'll support some of the investigators and students at CIBR so that they would do their best, which would contribute to solving some of our puzzles about brain. And at the same time, some of our research will have direct applications in improving brain health. And for that part, I should add, Beijing has 2 hospitals that has the best neurosurgery and neurology clinics in China. In fact, the 2 of them have operations on brain surgery over 10,000 per year. So those are the largest neurosurgery hospitals in the world, which means at CIBR we have very close interactions and collaborations with hospitals, making our investigators highly accessible and interactive with clinicians. So with that, I would like to emphasize we welcome students and postdocs, junior faculty and senior faculty to join CIBR. If you cannot join us full-time, you're welcome to visit us, give seminars, but hopefully some of you will join us and do the best research you can imagine. Thank you.